Okay, so I was having some computer issues, but here I am. I think y'all should be able to hear me now. So I am actually going to give people just a few minutes, probably a few minutes here to come back in the new room. Because I had only been in the other room for like a few minutes and I already had like 90 people watching. So, okay. All right, cool. So, hey y'all. Happy Tuesday. Hopefully, everybody is having a good Tuesday. I know y'all couldn't hear me on the other video. Y'all, I don't know why, but I'm a little tense or something. I don't know today. So, if y'all see me doing this or whatever, please excuse me. I know, Roland. Hey, P-Lou. Hey, Black Introvert. Hey, Electric B. Hey, Skywalker. Hey, Connie. Hey, Helena. Black Introvert said the white man was holding you back. You know that's O'Shea saying. But, yeah. I think I'm good, Roland. I don't know. But just a long day, so I don't know. So I don't know how long I'll be on here tonight. Just depends on how everything goes. My brain is a little I don't know, all over the place. So, but my new light, because right now I just kind of got some stuff rigged up going on. Hey V8. But my new light is coming in tomorrow, so I'm super excited about that. So I can kind of get my video quality back to where I was at with it. Hey, boom boom. Connie, I think it's just maybe need rest type thing. You know, sometimes when your body just I guess uptight or something. But I really haven't been sitting at the computer that much today, so maybe just a few hours, but you know. Hey Derek, hey Eltward. But yeah. So, but all right, so I see we got people back in here. Because I was having those mic issues. And let me delete that video real quick, y'all, so people aren't trying to go view that video. So just give me 1 second to do that. And we will talk about what we're going to talk about tonight. Let's see. It's like when you try to do something fast, and all of a sudden you can't find what you're trying to do. Okay, here we go. Let me erase this. And delete. And all right, so here we go. So let me see. So hey to everybody just came in the room. Thank you, that girl. So it's funny, Deshaun, because I had just talked about the Byron Allen thing last week. I had just talked. We're about to come right to that, though. I just wanted to bring up 2 things really quickly, and I'm gonna tell y'all about this Byron Allen thing and why it's so funny to me. Because I was like, man, I know I'm not crazy. I be feeling stuff. And I'd be like, I know I'm not crazy, but I'm finna explain it more to y'all in a little bit. But yes, Elwood, man, it's so cold. Oh my God, it's so cold. When I woke up this morning, y'all, and went outside, I was like, oh my God, what's going on? I'm just not prepared for this life right here. But anyway, so first of all, let's talk about a little bit about what the Supreme Court has going on right now. Let me do my screen share. Let's do application window. But all right, I can't see what y'all can see, so hold on, y'all. My mic being off just kind of threw me a little bit. All right, so first of all, your Supreme Court over here, I guess they just working. So first, you got the Supreme Court clears the way for the Newtown shooting victim families to sue AR-15 gun maker. So I was like, boy, okay. So the Supreme Court has cleared the way for families of Newtown, Connecticut shooting victims to sue gun maker Remington Arms, the manufacturer of the AR-15 used in the 2012 massacre, rejecting the company's request for the court to consider the case. Y'all, it just feel like time is flying so fast, and it's like these shootings, you have a new one, and it'd be like, dang, that happened. Hey, Ray. But, hey, the writer. But, okay, so the case will now proceed to trial in Connecticut for the families of the victims of the shooting, which took place in December 2012 at the Sandy Hook Elementary School. 20 children and 6 adults were killed at the school. The justices did not offer an explanation for their decision to deny the request to take up the case. The families are grateful that the Supreme Court upheld precedent and denied Remington's latest attempt to avoid accountability. The attorney representing the families, Josh Koskoff, said in a statement, "We are ready to resume discovery and proceed toward trial in order to shed light on Remington's profit-driven strategy to expand the AR-15 market and court high-risk users at the expense of America's safety. The lawsuit was first filed over 4 years ago and has overcome a series of hurdles to go to trial." And so this just talks about this. So in March, the Connecticut Supreme Court ruled to allow the families to sue the gun maker. The families argued that the manufacturer, distributor, and seller of the weapon negligently entrusted to civilian consumers an assault rifle that is suitable for use only by military and law enforcement personnel and violated the Connecticut Unfair Trade Practices Act through the sale or wrongful marketing of the rifle. So I'm just reading this and I'm just looking at this and I'm like, this is really interesting. This is really interesting to me because what it says is that it wants to hold these companies responsible for the way they are doing marketing. Okay, if we're going to do that, I'm just looking at legally the tone that sets and the precedent that sets for this, right? Because we have people that do, like, first of all, what is negligent marketing? And then we have to look at these corporations that have this very aggressive marketing tactics. We can talk about freaking vaccines that these people, they made it nearly impossible to sue them for, negligent things happening to some people because of vaccines and stuff like this. You have the freaking, all these people pushing, opioids and all these, different drugs and stuff like this. And then we can even talk about things like alcohol. and, you know, stuff like that. So to me, I feel like they're trying to get to the point where they're trying to hold these corporations more responsible, so it kind of puts some fire to the politicians, because it's like, okay, y'all don't want to make gun laws, y'all don't want to, so what we'll do, we'll just take these companies to court and we'll just sue them. But to me, if I'm not mistaken, Bammy, I think for vaccines, and y'all let me know, but I think for vaccines, you have to go to like a special court dedicated just to vaccinations. If I'm not mistaken, I'm almost certain that's the case. But you definitely just can't like just sue them in a regular court or whatever. So they've actually made it nearly impossible, even though we know, okay, Vax Court, right? Even though we know there have been people with evidence that have been harmed by vaccines, possibly killed by vaccines. Hey, Cajun. And so you had these companies, and I mean, what else could you hold these companies for unless you go the marketing route? Like, oh, y'all are marketing to people with mental issues. Isn't everybody? McDonald's, the cigarette companies. I mean, so I'm really interested to see how this plays out. Helena said a family just won a huge case against a vaccine maker. I'm gonna have to look into that because I definitely want to know more about that. But I'm like, yeah, we're gonna keep our eyes on this to see what happens to it, because then does that open up all companies that carry guns, and then as soon as somebody uses that particular gun, will you now be able to sue that company or whatever? But suing people is the American way. I mean, let's just be real. People love to do it. Hey, Deadshot. People love to do it. I mean, it's just the thing to do. The courts are always filled. I mean, it's the American way. So, but the Supreme Court's like, nah, we gonna clear this on up and let y'all handle this right here. But all right, y'all. So look, DACA. Everybody was in the streets today. Hey, Gab. Everybody were in the streets today. Lavon says suing people is a cop-out. Why can't we bring dueling back? Really? Really? PBPP said any lawsuit against vaccine manufacturers are covered by the government. And to me, that alone, why would the government need to protect vaccinations? Like, just on the strength of that alone makes me very like, because I just don't trust the government. Y'all are, propping up and protecting the vaccination companies. Like, to me, that whole system has never set right with me. The links they go to protect the vaccinations. And my thing is, I genuinely, honestly believe that vaccines originally started off with good intent, and things like that. But I just feel like as time went on and you have money and you have greed and you have corruption, I think, a lot of it just went to the wayside. And sometimes the government be in on the stuff and they're probably like, oh, we're still going to protect y'all because, we just need people to get vaccinations. But I'm like, Yeah. So DACA was in the streets today. I want to briefly mention this. People were in the streets protesting, on this DACA thing. Trump is basically trying to roll back DACA. So let's look at this. This is from Yahoo News. DACA, even a Supreme Court win for Trump, could create a tough political choice in 2020. So now that the Supreme Court has completed oral arguments over the Trump administration's attempt to end the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, all eyes will turn toward the court's springtime decision that will insert the emotional issue directly into the 2020 presidential campaign. If the justices ruled that the Trump administration wrongly terminated the program, then the roughly 700,000 DACA recipients, which I've actually read that it's upward to like 800,000, sometimes referred to as dreamers, who have been protected from deportation and granted work permits, will be able to continue their American lives for a while longer. But if the court sides with Trump administration and allows it to end the program, it will set up a high-stakes, politically wrought decision for the Trump administration just months before the November election. If the administration immediately terminates the program at the moment, it runs the risk of angering voters sympathetic to dreamers who make up significant portions of the electorate in swing states like Arizona, Florida, Michigan, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania. If the administration decides to delay any action until after election, it runs the risk of angering Trump's core supporters who were promised the program, which they decry as amnesty, would be shut down under his watch. It does present a political challenge. They're going to have to navigate it very carefully. And so basically on today, they went before the Supreme Court, and hey, John Ray. So what do y'all think about DACA? Do you think this is the right timing for this, or do you think it should be handled after the elections? If you think this is the right timing for this, press 1. If you think it could possibly hurt Trump's election and should have been handled after the election, press 2. I don't know. That's a good question, Electric B. He said, I'm not a Trump fan, but I don't get how he can't undo an executive order from the president before him. Like, how is that even a legal challenge? So everybody's saying 1. Connie's saying, I have mixed feelings about it. I feel the same way. The writer said 2. So, like, my thing is, at this point, I think most voters have decided how they feel about DACA. I think most voters have already decided. Well, no, I think most voters have already decided their position on illegal immigration. So I don't think it's going to particularly sway voters, other than the fact that if anything happens before the election, the media is going to draw it out. That's the only thing. All on up into the election, every single day, we're going to be seeing sad stories about DACA. The media is going to continuously run it. They're gonna let it run its course. That's all we're gonna freaking see. That's all they're gonna talk about. Also, I'm kind of like you, Connie. Connie said, I mean, it isn't the kids' fault. They didn't have a choice in the matter. And if they grew up here, then it's their home. And that's another thing. Some of these people on the DACA program have been here for several years. So they're older now, and some of them have their own families now. Hey, K Hills. And so, it's a lot to think about, but I'm like, okay, like, they're saying, this is going to open up 800,000 people to being deported and stuff like that. First of all, honestly, I don't even think they just have the manpower to do it like that. But, okay, so this is what I mean, Connie. Connie said just send the parents back. So this is what I mean. You have, let's see. So, okay, so let's say you had a 13-year-old that was brought here with their family, right? With their parents. And in 2012, this was 7 years ago. So now they're 20. If that person has a child of their own now, and that child is an American citizen, now you're kind of looking at like, I guess more trickier things to resolve. But me personally, like, I feel like the whole DACA thing is more low-hanging fruit. That's my opinion. I say stop the freaking chain, people just coming in across the border or whatever the case may be. Stop this. At one point they were talking about birthright citizenship, like stopping it altogether. So my thing is, I feel like this 800,000 people is just low hanging fruit when you can focus on, I'm not saying, if Trump decides to cut this program off, okay, whatever. But as far as handling these 800,000 people, a lot of these people have been here. They've been growing up here. But if you want to do these other things, build a wall, in birthright citizenship, I think those things like that are way more effective going forward. So I don't know. That's why me personally, if I was running a campaign as far as marketing, y'all know as far as how this looks and how the media is going to drag it out, a lot of people are going to be very sympathetic to these stories. And I mean, you can't blame them. I am too. So I don't know. But I feel like this is going to be a big story going forward and they're going to drag it out. Kaden said, I don't care about DACA because honestly, not our fault. Blame the parents because they could have done what they needed to become a citizen because we should be worried about our children in the ghetto. I mean, I agree with you, Kaden. I promise, like, I get exactly where you're coming from. I do. But I'm trying to think of, you have the grandparent here, you have the parent here, the child can stay, and you're going to kick the parent out that grew up here. I don't know. I just think this 800,000 people, I just think it's low hanging fruit. I think there's way other strategies you can take to deter illegal immigration. But what did William say? William said, if I rob a bank, I can't get the money to my kid. Oh my God. Bammy said, you're not thinking, you're feeling like a SJW. That's why I'm not a politician and I don't make policy, because I absolutely do feel. But I just don't think, even for his campaign, I think this is low hanging fruit. Like, that's my opinion. Like, if you don't want DACA, just end the program. End it and allow those people a way to citizenship, or they have to seek citizenship within a certain time. I don't think that's a bad thing because I look for other solutions. But really, Cajun? So everybody thinking I'm all in my feelings right now. If you think I'm in my feelings, press 1. Oh, man. If you think I'm in my feelings, press 1. See, Bammy said empathy, facts, solutions. Thank you, Helena. Thank you, Helena. I'm sitting up here giving y'all the solutions, though, but I mean, that's just me, so. But we'll see what happens with it. I think it's gonna be a crap show going into 2020. Hey, Penny. I said, what are feelings? You absolutely right, Helena. Helena said, I do feel bad, but our kids have needs too. Lady Loomer said it's not 800K. It's a lot more. It's a lot more than 800K on DACA. I'm just talking about DACA. Let me know, Lady Loomer, because I'm seeing 700. Get the heck out of here. Where are y'all getting y'all sources from? Cajun said 1.2 million. Like, that's what I think too, T-Loom. Like T-Loom said, just my life. I mean, what's done is done, but they should get in the back of the citizenship line. But I'm like, I don't know. Helena said it's over 1.5 million if you count them all. Oh. Okay. Yes, Bammy, I remember that because I did a video on it. But all right, y'all. So let's move on to this Byron Allen thing. I want to talk about this just a little bit. And y'all are going to see that it's funny because if you were here in my last live, at the end of the live, I was talking about the Byron Allen thing, the civil rights, this and the other. At the end of the video, I said that I was going to make another video talking about something that I noticed in his Breakfast Club interview that was very odd to me. Like it's very odd. So, and I was going through the comments and nobody else pointed this out. So I'm like, maybe it's just in my head. But I'm like, I'm still going to make a video about this. And I didn't make a video about it. But now, based on what Judge Joe Brown has been saying on this podcast and on Twitter, I just wanted to talk about this a little bit and kind of like rehash this a little bit. So what's happening is Byron Allen is the man that owns the Weather Channel. And he is basically going to the Supreme Court against Comcast. Well, Comcast is going against him. And he's saying it's to undermine the Civil Rights Act of 1866. So it's supposed to be this whole big case. Everybody's like, oh my God. And then, I think Trump's Department of Justice is supposed to have a slot within a Supreme Court case. And so Byron Allen has been going around doing this freaking press tour, galvanizing people, getting people riled up. And I wasn't like super familiar with him. I'd heard his name like several times and stuff like that. And when I watched the Breakfast Club interview and I had kind of been doing some research on him, I'm like, oh, this is important. So I'll talk about this. But when Judge Joe Brown came out saying the things he said, I'm like, But anyway, so I'm going to let you guys hear exactly what Judge Joe Brown said. Then I'm going to tell you why everything he's saying it makes sense to me, and I can see exactly why he's saying it. And we'll talk about it. So Judge Joe Brown did he was on a podcast. So let's see. I'm gonna let y'all hear this.
Allen is a low-down scumbag. I know him personally. I know what that scoundrel is up to. This has absolutely nothing to do with African Americans. This is because CBS is backing him, and CBS is backed by Viacom, and they're trying to corner the market on black rerun content. So Byron Allen has sued, amongst other things, Al Sharpton and some other networks, because he's saying that the networks give all of their slots to other black people besides him, and it's a plot, racist plot, to get at him so he can't get the rerun content. This son of a bitch tried to sell me out. I saw him talking to the CBS executives. I sent a spy over there to report back what he was talking about, and I played along with him as he tried to go along with CBS executives to trap me into a contractual violation when I told them to go to hell. They could take what they were doing and shove it. And he tried to set me up. And when he's talking about being a billionaire, that's a damn lie. CBS is just fronting off another house Negro to get him to do what they want him to do for their own advantage. He didn't have enough money to pay me for what he was asking me to do, which was part of the trap. Now, what we have in place is exactly like what happened with the 15th Amendment, which was set up for the benefit of ex-slaves. But instead of being used for the ex-slaves in the 1870s, it was used to deal with advancing the interest of a fictional person, also known as the American corporation. So the U.S. Supreme Court, the lower courts, use the 15th Amendment not to deal with the plight of former slaves, but to advance the interest of what is now corporate America. It is the same thing. Black folk, American descendants of slavery, or whatever, ADOS or whatever, has nothing at stake at this except if he wins. That means CBS, which probably has the worst track record out there amongst all of the media entities when it comes to dealing forthrightly with black folk, will win, and they will corner the content market. They will have corrupted the Civil Rights Act of 1866 and once again switched it to a device to be used for corporate America because they got that snake scoundrel, Byron Allen, fronting for them. They're putting up the money. They're making the arrangements. They're trying to corner something through him. And he's already got arrangements to get taken in under Viacom. So
no, he didn't say he started ADOS. He said, I think the only thing he said about ADOS is that he's basically using and galvanizing ADOS. So let me tell y'all. Now, I know that CBS and Viacom did a merger, right? If I'm not mistaken. Y'all let me know. I'm pretty sure they did. Judge Joe Brown is basically saying that Byron Allen is just the face for a corporation. And this is really about CBS getting the rights to Black content more so than civil rights. And they're just using civil rights as a way to not only make the case look more favorable, but to galvanize people. And y'all, when he said this, because I'm telling y'all, when he first tweeted it, he tweeted something about it first, and I messed around and saw the tweet on Twitter. And he was like, you know, Byron Allen is just the front man and something. And I wrote him back and I was like, are you going to do a podcast on this? Because I'm like, you know, I need more information. And he was like, yes, it'll be released like tomorrow or something like that. So I tweeted y'all and I was like, now I understand why that Breakfast Club interview was a little weird to me. Like the energy was off, and like some of the things he said, I'm actually about to show y'all. I just show y'all so y'all can see exactly what I mean. So, and this might play some ads through here or whatever, but y'all just bear with me. But I kind of want to give y'all like a general idea of some of the stuff that he was saying. So I'm gonna kind of speed up at some points.
America, that's right. That's the speech. That's the speech everybody needs to know innately. There are two Americas. One America has opportunity and access to capital and education. And what does it matter if I can sit at the same lunch counter as my white counterpart and I cannot afford the same hamburger? That's right. There are two Americas, and two Americas will not survive. That's why they killed him, the Poor People's March. He was going to deliver 500,000 poor people, mainly poor white people. Yeah, of all races. That would have been a game changer. That was the game changer. Yeah. He was delivering over 500,000 poor people to the nation's capital. And the government said, hey, this guy's a threat to national security. And we're making a movie about this, that they gave the orders to kill him. Yeah. And have you ever read William Pepper's book, his lawyer?
So y'all, so he's talking about like the Poor People's March and Martin Luther King and all this stuff. So keep listening.
And you have to recognize where you are. You know, and it took a lot for me to start to see what was going on. Having kids, you know, taking my kids to school, taking my daughter Chloe to school when she was 2 or 3 years old. She's in the back seat. My other daughter Olivia. My son Lucas wasn't born at the time. And my daughter Chloe started counting and telling me all the homeless people she was seeing out on the streets. Daddy, I see another homeless person. Daddy, I see another homeless person. Daddy, when are we going to stop to help them? How come we're not helping them, Daddy? 3 years old. And by the time I got to the next light, I started crying. I started crying because I realized I turned off my empathy button.
Right.
And this little girl.
It was normalized.
It was normalized. That's right. You got it. And this little girl turned that empathy button back on. And what was it about me that I was going to act like I don't see you? Mm-hmm. And I said, yeah, you know what? We are going to help them. What's going on here? There's a matrix that's happening here, and we're going to crack the code. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I said, you know what? It's the 4 Ds. It's the 4 D.
So let's go forward a little bit. Cause I want y'all, it's different parts, but I kind of want y'all to get an overall kind of view of like what he was saying. Let me see.
Said, here you go. I'm going to incarcerate you. And I say, listen, they get us in the schoolroom by making sure you don't get a proper education.
Right.
They get you in the boardroom by making sure you don't have access to capital that's not predatory and business opportunities. And they get you in the courtroom by making sure there are laws that incarcerate you and lock you up long before you get choked to death in the streets.
Now, how did you get the capital for a lot of the stuff that you did? Because, like you said, they don't give us anything. How were you able to get that mind frame and have that business mind frame to purchase and do some of the moves that you were able to do?
How you pivot from artist to executive? Well, from watching that, understanding this, you have to understand where you are, understanding how you're positioned to fail. If you don't understand, if you don't get into that matrix, then you can't go to the next level. So I said, okay, how do we get around that? You know, when you look at an Eric Gardner getting choked to death in the streets, right? They didn't position him properly in the schoolroom to have that education so he can have access to that capital. So he wasn't standing on the sidewalk, but rather he owned the block. He owned the store in which he was standing in front of. How does that happen? Where he gets choked to death. It's happening. The battle is not in the streets. It's in the schoolroom. It's making sure we get a proper education.
Right. So y'all, he goes on and on, right? Like Martin Luther King and, you know, we're going to jail and we have no money and we have no capital and blah, 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 and this and the other. And then, they ask him, well, how'd you get your money? How'd you do it? Oh, well, it's so hard and it's this glass ceiling and it's this and it's that. And, he's just doing this speech, right? And so they ask him again. They keep asking him, okay, but you the man. Like, you're sitting here in the studio. You are the dream. We're looking at it. How did you do it? Like, give us the key. You know what I mean? And they keep asking him.
It's in the boardroom, making sure you have access to capital that's not carving out about $150 billion of government worker pension fund money.
We gotta add. But let's see.
And that did not happen. But that was my ask.
It sounded like Barack just sounded. That did not happen.
That did not happen.
Sounded like Barack. Okay, so y'all, from 13 minutes to 23, like they're like, how'd you do it? How'd you do it? How'd you do it? How'd you get the money?
Higher education. Tell us how you got the money, though.
Oh, how I got? Oh, you want to? Okay.
How you got the money? Comedian, right in your getting the money. People about the Weather Channel.
He's trying to get all of y'all money.
How'd you get the money, Byron?
Okay, my money's easy. My money's easy. Like I said, I had to learn how to make money from the day I started saying, look, I'm going to help my mother. I'm going to make sure I'm not a burden.
Right.
So, like, that's not weird to y'all. Like, you just sat here for 10 minutes and I just gave y'all snippets so y'all can kind of get a general idea. But I want y'all to actually go back and listen to the full interview. 10 minutes straight, he's like, oh, the racists are holding everybody back and, Black people can't do this and we don't have to access the capital and this, that, and the other. And they're like, because, they're like, basically like, okay, cool. Well, you're here. You're the key. Tell us. Like, we got everybody listening. Everybody wants to know. What made you different? How were you able to do it? Then all of a sudden his speech turned to, oh, well, money is everywhere. Money is easy to get. Keep listening.
That's the easy part. Making money is easy. And that's a mindset. You could put up a radar and say, where's trouble, and trouble will find you. You could put up a radar and say, where's this, and it will come to you. But when you put up that radar that says, okay, how are we going to make money in an honest way, in a legal way, you're going to figure it out, especially today with the internet.
Yeah, but
with the
$300
internet.
million to buy the Weather Channel.
By the way, $300 million is not a lot of money. And so I think...
So at that point, like, I don't know this, like, I'm not like super familiar with him. So as I'm watching, I'm like, you giving me two different people. Like, you kind of coming off a little, this was before. If y'all go back and watch my video last week, I talked about him. I talked about this civil rights case at the end of that video. And I said, during that Breakfast Club interview, Like, it was something I noticed, and I was reading through the comments, and everybody's talking about, oh, he's so prolific, you know, these things he's saying is so great, and he's so honorable, and he's this great guy. But I hear a freaking salesman. I hear a salesman. I hear you telling me two different things. I hear, like, so what are you really trying to do?
Okay, what kind of billions Byron working with? Let me get 300. Yeah, let me get 50 then.
You know,
Give me 10.
10. Listen, 300. You know, I wanna make sure everybody understands how much money there is out there.
But you just said, I swear to y'all, now, like, it was no buffer, it was no break, it was no nothing. He literally went from there's no money out here to, oh, money is easy. It's easy to get. The money is out there. So I'm like, now I'm thinking you were trying, because y'all noticed they asked him in this interview at least 3 times, how'd you get your money? How, you know, wanting to know the solution, like, what did you do? Things like this. So exactly a big contradiction. So what I started to think is like, my exact thoughts were, if he thinks that, because he was trying to avoid that question. So now I'm thinking the previous little stuff was talking points. And even the way he was talking, you know, everybody in the comments trying to act like he was so philosophical and enlightened and this and the other. And even the way kind of like his, you know, his cadence and the way he's coming off. I'm like, which one do you really believe? So I immediately started thinking, I feel like he's trying to win the favor of the audience, right? Everybody is, y'all follow me, The Breakfast Club, you know, mostly Black listeners, mostly urban listeners, mostly young listeners. Then I find out he's been going around doing all these different media, basically a media campaign. And the move right now, a big discussion, as y'all see, Judge Joe Brown brought up ADOS, and, well, he just brought up ADOS. ADOS talks about what? One of their main goals is reparations. If you listen to some of these same talking points that he was doing on the front end, I'm probably gonna get a copyright. It's okay. It's okay, y'all. But let me get out of this anyway, because I'm done with that. Because I think y'all get what I'm saying. Oh, Lord, my computer about to die. Y'all, hold on. Oh, y'all, hold on. So as I'm sitting there, listening to his speech, I'm like, you're giving conflicting information. It's like his what's called MK Ultra. It's like it slipped for a moment or something, and then for a second he came back into who he really is, talking like all these other capitalists, corporatists, everybody else talks, and he came back to his real self and was like, oh, the money is out here. And I bet he was thinking like, dang, I was supposed to stay with my stick. So I'm thinking immediately when I saw that, I'm like nobody else watching noticed how his position on capital and how to access capital literally changed within seconds in the same freaking interview. So then I'm like, why is he trying to elevate this whole idea of like, you can't get money, you can't do this, you don't have this access to capital, woe is me. Why? So I started thinking that he is trying to find favor with the listeners, right? And naturally so, reading the comments, people were eating it up, not even realizing he completely contradicted himself. So I'm like, why? In my head, I was thinking, if I just hear about his case and I think civil rights, I think, oh, he has it in the bag. Worries. Why are you going over and beyond so much to your views are conflicting to find favor with this audience? Why are you doing it? So to me, at that point, I'm like, something is a little off about this. Like, but I really can't say for sure what it is, right? But then Judge Joe Brown does this podcast and he's like, Byron Allen is just the front for CBS. So if y'all are familiar with, I think Judge Joe Brown mentioned this. Oh, okay, y'all can see me now. I think Judge Joe Brown mentioned this earlier, but corporate personhood, right? Corporate personhood is how these companies use not civil rights. They used like amendments, and they use parts of the Constitution in their favor as if they're a person. And so this is what Judge Joe Brown was saying, that instead of CBS being able to do this, they're basically using a black man as a front to say, oh, okay, now like this is a civil rights issue. But if you actually do the research on the Civil Rights Act of 1866, you will see that in several instances that act was never enough to involve all of the different parts of protecting the rights of Black people when it comes to really anything. Exactly. Bammy said, bro, Byron just trying to get paid. Next topic. And that was the thing. So now it's like he's going around galvanizing people. And I told y'all, like, we are so susceptible to certain words, right? Like, oh my God, they're trying to take your civil rights away from you. But what Judge Joe Brown is basically saying, and this is not me coming on here saying, oh, I think, Byron Allen should lose the case or whatever the case may be. I'm not saying that. But what I'm trying to tell y'all is this is basically corporation against corporation. It's corporation against corporation. This happens all the time, okay? But this particular corporation is basically using corporate personhood with Byron Allen as the face to say, oh, it's civil rights. And when you hear that and people hear that and Black people like, oh, we need to look into this. We need to support this. We need to see what's going on. But then when you actually look at the civil rights of 1866 and see how that has worked, there have been all these other acts to basically correct what the civil rights of 1866 never even covered or provided. So that's why he's basically saying like, if that's basically why he's saying that if the I just lost my thought, y'all. But basically, if the dang, I just lost my thought, y'all. I'm sorry. I forgot what I was saying. But anyway, so now, so I'm looking at this and I'm like doing more research, and I'm like, I'm trying to see like who's talking, you know, about Byron Allen, what's being said, this and the other. Send it again, Gab. I'm not sure. But I'm like, okay. Ooh. I'm like, so Byron Allen has direct access to the people that he's trying to galvanize for the social, for being propped up socially, right, as this great champion for civil rights, but really this is corporatist interest. You know what I mean? Which, I mean, is nothing wrong with that. Get your money. But having people thinking that, you know, this, putting the Civil Rights Act of 1866 at the forefront as if that is going to completely threaten or dismantle civil rights is just not the case. And I just don't think that's how that should be put up. Exactly. Guy said, I think he's selling too, Rhonda. You can never tell, though. It's TV hard to find the truth with these guys. Many are well prepared. Follow the interest of his investors. They will tell a story as well. And I'm glad you said something about his investors, because the crazy part about it is, another thing is, like, all these people are going around, you know, parroting that he's a billionaire. He's a billionaire. He's a billionaire. He's a billionaire. And kind of find out, like, I think he has like 400 million. And so, you know, basically you have these investors, you have these people propping him up to help him do this. You have CBS behind him. Cajun said Byron Allen is a real life power. Are you talking about the show? I never watched it, y'all. Good night, Connie. But he's super smooth. And then it was funny because in an interview, Charlamagne was like, you said that like Obama. You said that like Obama. And I kept thinking, listening to him the whole time, like he kind of sounds like a politician or whatever. But to know that Tone Talks, the founder of the ADOS movement, y'all know what I'm trying to say, is in direct talks with him weekly. And then if you go look at a lot of the articles being written on what is actually happening, I can't even say this man's name, y'all. I cannot talk tonight. Byron Allen owns the Griot and is directly putting out a lot of this information. So I'm like, yeah. This is just interesting. So that's why last week when I was talking about it, at the end, I was like, I was presenting what I knew so far and how it looked, but I'm like, I'm gonna wait for the Supreme Court to do what they do, because I'm like, this is just really odd, and to pull back civil rights to that extent when you have all of these things in place. I'm like, I don't know. It was all just really weird to me. Gal said, the gift of gab. I know, right? Electric B said, nothing in the text of the statute purports to displace the common law rule requiring but for causation. This is Comcast's argument. I don't care at all about Byron, but this is Comcast's argument. Kicking it with Kim Brooks said, what has Byron Allen done for blacks since he had his billions? Follow action, not words. And this is what I'm trying to say, Kim. This is what I'm saying. I was like, man, I just never, just really seen him out. And I'm like, now you're everywhere. Like, you're literally everywhere. And not only that, I'm like, if your case is a good case, it could stand alone. In my head, I kept thinking, like, why is he doing all this, like, smooth talking to, so I don't know. Is it to, like, sway public opinion or automatically set this thought, like, okay, y'all need to get behind me because this is a black thing? Y'all, am I looking really, like, blurry on here? Y'all let me know, because it looks like it's looking really blurry. Hey, Uber guy. Patina says she understand exactly what I'm saying. I was trying to, I was hoping I was explaining what I'm saying, so y'all could get it. But after I had already kind of felt some kind of way, and then I'm doing more research into this, and then I'm looking at, if y'all go look at the articles from where this information is being released, they're all very similar and stuff like this. And I'm like, why? It's just, I don't know. The whole thing was just weird. Uber guy said, a lot of blacks in power try to use a race card to get them out of heat. I don't trust none of them. He has done nothing. People just jump on his side for clout. Like, so, and I'm like, not only are there you have the Fair Housing Act, you have the Civil Rights Act of 1964, you have, I think it's something else that I'm forgetting or whatever. But I'm like, you still have those protections. You still have those protections. And the thing is now, well, it's been this way, but you have these corporations, fighting to use things that were supposed to be set for us anyway. Like, I have another problem with it. Electric B said, but we have to consider what standard all of these acts rest upon. I don't understand what you mean by that. Dougie said, it sets a precedent, like I said before. But how? How? You still, I do not, we're going to see how this plays out. We're going to see how this plays out in the Supreme Court. But y'all have to think about the fact that how the Civil Rights Act has been used, and people already not being able to people, what he say, if everything moves to but for causation, you will have to prove racism was 100% the cause in other cases. Like if racism is 99% the reason you're discriminated against, but 1% is because your breast stink, you can't use the protections. So what I was about to say, CBS is trying to still use the civil rights as a corporation, though. Do you get what I'm saying? So you have these acts set in place, and it's never used for what it was actually supposed to be used for. So 18 is not like the Civil Rights Act of 1866 is going to be removed. But so like I said, I'm coming in here, and I'm not saying at all that Byron Allen should lose a case or anything like that. I mean, I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is that you have these two corporations that are literally using corporate personhood to advance their agendas. That's what I'm saying. They are using the Civil Rights Act to advance their agendas while trying to galvanize people under the guise of, oh, this is going to completely take away everybody's rights. So, and I could tell that something was going on, and he was being propped up in a way that I'm like, if this case can stand on its own, and in my mind, originally when I heard it, I'm like, oh, I mean, like he has the case, like it is what it is. But then, so I started wondering, I'm like, but why are you trying to put sauce on it when you talking to me? Why are you trying to put this extra sauce on it to really, really sell this and make people feel like, oh, you know, this is the next step in civil rights? I'm like, but we'll see what happens. I'm going to keep my eye on this. I am hoping that like some other information comes out going into the Supreme Court case, because I think it is we're like 3 days away or whatever. And so we'll see what happens. But I just like when I'm being presented stuff, I want to know the full story. I want a better observation or a glimpse of what is going on. Don't sell me on talking points. I just want a more full picture. I just want a more full picture of what is going on. Dougie said Byron Allen wants access to reruns, so Judge Joe Brown is right as well. Helena said facts matter. We can make up our own minds. And that's my thing. So it's like when I'm trying to get to the bottom of what's going on and have a better understanding of this, and all I get is that you're trying to sell me something or use fear tactics or scare me into something. Now I'm looking like, okay, what are you really up to? What's really going on here? Like, I need more information. So I just felt like it was a lot of just Helena said, anyone know where I can find the court docs for this? That my usual sites have them. So his Ninth Circuit cases that he won, I'm not exactly sure what you can find those, but there's like articles and stuff that'll mention like that he won and stuff like this. But the Supreme Court hearing is supposed to be in like 2 days, 3 days, I think. So, but even though y'all said I was super emotional earlier, even though y'all said I was super emotional earlier, which I don't think I wasn't super emotional, but I at least try to TMO said it's tomorrow. Okay. But I at least try to look at things from a logical perspective. And I just want to be presented the information. Okay, he said November 13th. I don't know why I was thinking November 15th. But I just like for people to be offered the information, and then we can decide and go from here without all the media spin, without the platitudes, without the scary words and the trigger words and this and the other. Cajun said you are emotional about illegals. Well, that's why I don't make the laws. So that's the upside to that. Exactly. Carl said it's all about vulture capitalism. No one is using the media giants anymore. This is all about backroom deals in desperate times for the media oligarchy. But that's a good question. Electric B said, where are all these other people of color who want the benefits to all this stuff? And something I was thinking about earlier is that even when we think about how affirmative action have been used, like you have these laws and these civil rights and all these things set into place, and then you have other entities or other people or whatever the case may be, you have these corporations using them to completely taking advantage of these things. Prometheus Group said he has to involve the populace in order to get a semblance of fairness. And that's what I felt. That's what I felt like it was. Just a really strong media press of trying to get the people involved and make Comcast the big boogeyman, but in our actuality, it seems like y'all may possibly be two big boogeymen just going against each other. But y'all heard that. Y'all can go back and listen to the whole Breakfast Club interview, and it was just, I think if I'm not like talking over it or talking through it, y'all can definitely get a bigger perception like I did immediately watching it, to the point where I even said it. I was gonna make a separate video about it before. I was like, something not right here. So I feel like if y'all go back and listen to it without me kind of like talking over it and talking through it, you'll get a better kind of like perception of how he was presenting this whole thing or whatever. But anyway, so the case happens tomorrow and the hearing happens tomorrow. And as this is going on, I'm definitely going to update you guys, update or add to my position. We'll see what happens. It'll be interesting. I think once the hearings actually happen, then we'll have more information really being provided about like the ins and outs of what's going on with the hearing or whatever. And then like we can really see, like, you know, once it's presented. But all right, y'all. So I'm about to get out of here. Hopefully, as I get more information, I will update y'all if any videos come out later this week that I want to do. I'll definitely be doing those. So Cajun said, how we not talking about Tariq Nasheed agreeing with Trump? I don't know, because I don't have anything to say about it. I didn't see what all the big fuss was. It's been a lot of internet stuff going on lately. I don't know, but I don't know. I just don't have anything to say about that. But Prometheus said, watch it turn into a closed session, just like Oliver North hearings in trial. Man, I better have all the access to that hearing because I want to know what's going on. If my emotional energy is going to be used, I just want to know what's going on. I just want to know what's going on. And I certainly want to know from different sources, if that makes sense. Cajun, I'm familiar with who that is. I know who that is. But all right, y'all, I'm gonna get out of here. I think it's my bedtime now. So all right, y'all, have a good night. Thank y'all for watching. See you soon. Bye.